Hey, Joe Munoz, OneStepPrep.com. I hope this video finds you well, and I want to talk to you today about my aviation background, my origin, how I got started, and a little bit about myself and my background so that you're not thinking, who's this Joe Munoz guy, right? So I was born in Fort Worth, Texas. My father is an electrical engineer at the time working for American, major carrier. And he's worked with all kinds of, I have aviation basically in my blood. So starting with my grandfather, and then my sister's a flight attendant, and my father also electrical engineers, worked for major carriers, all kinds of different airlines, and also worked for even the space shuttle program as well. And so anyway, born in Fort Worth, Texas. I've kind of moved around quite a bit, lived in Seattle. I lived in Merritt Island, Florida, which is pretty much where I consider myself raised. I spent the majority of my time there growing up. So Merritt Island, if you're not aware where Merritt Island is, it's basically Cape Canaveral, Cocoa Beach. If you know where Orlando is, go to Orlando and then go straight east until you hit the beach, and that's basically Merritt Island. So anyway, spent maybe about 5 years in Texas initially, was born there, spent about 5 years there, moved to Seattle, spent 2 years there, and then spent close to 13 years in Merritt Island. So my flying essentially began when I was 12 going on 13. So at 12, in the late months of me being 12 years old, I realized I am going to dedicate my life to aviation. And I knew right away I wanted to be a pilot, and just being involved in aviation throughout my whole life with the family background, I knew that essentially by 12, late months in 12, being 12 years of age, I needed to get involved right away. I ended up going to get a desktop simulator, and I started using Microsoft Flight Sim. I remember the first time that I flew a sim, I essentially was not sure that I could keep up with all the multitasking that was associated with scanning a six-pack and changing frequencies and all that. I mean, I really had no idea what I was doing initially, of course, but needless to say, the video segments that came in Microsoft Flight Sim with John and Martha King were extremely helpful, and so I'm very, very honored and incredibly fortunate to be working with legendary John and Martha King now on this level as we produce professional type rating video courses in affiliation with them. So I did my first flight lesson at 13 years of age. This came after spending close to, no joke, probably 500 hours on that desktop sim, kind of getting familiar with what I was doing. Then I went to the airport and did my first flight lesson at 13 years of age. And essentially that first flight lesson, considering I had all that sim time, it went fairly well. I remember still that first flight lesson, I was kind of like, man, this is a little bit different than the sim, although I feel fairly prepared, but it was a little bit different. And I was thinking to myself, I don't know if I'm going to be able to keep up with all this stuff. For the first time ever, I'm hearing all the air traffic on the radios, of course. And so anyway, just really a great experience. I remember it very vividly, and a fond memory. And so from there on out, I was hooked, to say the least. And I knew now, how can I maximize my time with exposure to aircraft, keep close proximity all the time to an airport, to an airplane, and somebody who had access to a plane, so I can get in there and fly and build some time. And needless to say, at 14, I began working at Voyager Aviation, right where I started flying, washing aircraft. And so I was essentially going to school by day. I was washing aircraft, going to work, washing the aircraft right after school, and then flying my simulator at night, and then weekends were spent doing my flight lessons. And so it was kind of not the normal day that maybe a 13-year-old or a 14-year-old would have, but that was certainly what I was doing in that time of my life. Now, I also started working with a charter company, Part 135 charter company, and they were operating King Air C-90s, 200s, some beach jets. I had Piper Navajos, Senecas, and so I began washing these aircraft, and that really opened a lot of doors, great opportunities in terms of networking. Networking opportunities are huge, by the way, so I really had great networking opportunity there. In addition to that, I remember, particularly in the summertime, just spending all day out in the summer heat, in that hot summer sun, scrubbing the soot off those King Air C-90s on the exhaust stacks where they come out. I'm sure, you know, for those of you that know what that looks like, just scrubbing it and coming home to nothing but the smell of all my clothes smelling like degreaser, and I had soap everywhere, and just really an awesome experience. Definitely happy to have done that, very fortunate to have had that opportunity, and of course very appreciative of the networking opportunities that brought. I additionally attended Florida Institute of Technology, FIT Aviation in Melbourne, Florida, and that was also a great experience. I flew Piper Warriors there, and had an excellent instructor, really the instructor that I began my training with at Voyager. Ended up going to FIT Aviation, and I followed him over there, and very happy that I did so. Just got great quality instruction there, and he was an excellent instructor. And so That was really a really great experience, and I enjoyed being at Florida Tech and doing my flight training there. I also trained a little bit in Seattle at Northway Aviation. Northway Aviation is a great school in the Pacific Northwest. Appreciate you all at Northway if you're watching this. All the flight schools that are out there, appreciate you all. The experience that I got at every single flight academy that I attended was just something that is priceless to me. So fast forward to my first flying job. So I got my licenses, and because of the networking opportunities that had presented themselves in the years prior, washing aircraft and just being at the airport pretty much every single day, I started flying some Piper Senecas, Navajos, and doing a little bit of King Air work on Part 91 flights, and I built a little bit of time doing that, but really my first flying job was in a Metroliner, Part 135, freight and passenger, combination of both, based out of Fort Lauderdale. I was flying all over the Bahamas. I was flying all over the Dominican Republic, Haiti, Turks and Caicos Islands, and so really the entire Caribbean, out here in the Eastern Caribbean. I really flew every single island pretty much. Great experience. Being out there early morning, 4 a.m., tossing bags into that Metroliner, sweating up a storm here in Florida humidity. And it was really just a good experience. I learned a lot of good things, including the fact that having no APU in the middle of summertime can be brutal. And that Metroliner has no flight director, has no autopilot, and so just everyday flying, hand flying, really built up my stick and rudder ability, and I'm appreciative of having that opportunity as well. Really just great experience there. So I flew that Metroliner for about 3 years and really just had a great time doing it. Here's where it starts to get interesting. I attended a job fair where there was a type rating being raffled. And I threw my name in the hat, luck of a pluck, okay? I got picked out of this raffle to win a 737NG type rating. And I attended the course. It was a 21-day type rating course. It was my first time really getting into 142 training programs, seeing what Level D sims are all about. And I was hooked from the second I stepped into the training center. I saw what these ground school courses were about. I saw what the fixed base and the full motion sims were like. Just the entire training environment really intrigued me a lot. And so I consumed myself with as much material as I possibly could on the 737. And later on, instruction. I figured out right there, right away, I woke up to the fact that I am incredibly, for those of you that are just maybe running into me for the first time, I know a lot of you already know, I'm incredibly passionate about instruction, quality instruction. So anyways, what ended up happening there was I get my type rating, I attend the 21-day course, successfully get my type, and I decide that this is for me, and I need to stick around in this environment. And so I begin just relentless pushing and shoving to try to get a job in the training center, flying, doing anything. I mean, I was happy to be mopping floors, doing anything just to stay in that environment. And I ended up getting a position after literally showing up in a suit and tie, probably for close to a month, just pushing and shoving. Hey, I'm the guy to hire, I'm the guy to hire, I'm the guy to hire. Just kept on showing up, and make a long story short, next thing I know, I find myself flying seat support in Level D sims. And that slowly turned into teaching ground school, then later fixed base, and later full flight sim. Lots of different opportunities presented themselves, including contract flying on the 737. And really the whole thing turned into a story where now I have over 4,800 hours of Level D sim instruction given, just in full flight sims alone, not included the seat support, the fixed base sims, and also the ground school instruction. So I've taken a little bit of a different path. Traditionally pilots, they'll get their ratings, become a CFI, go to a regional airline, upgrade, get some PIC time, and then go to a low-cost carrier or a major carrier. And then later on, towards the retirement part of their careers, they end up doing the instruction. But for me, I've essentially flipped the whole thing around, and I did the exact opposite. I ended up getting my ratings, essentially going right into flying 135 charter, and then right away training. So what you would normally do later on in your career, I ended up doing from the very start. And what that has allowed me to do is really get an understanding for how does the aircraft operate as opposed to how to operate the aircraft. So what I have found truly is that out on the line you get extremely good at operating the aircraft. But in the classroom environment, that's really where you learn how the aircraft operates, right? We're learning how the electrical system operates, the pneumatics, the pressurization, just going through the systems every day, teaching them every day. And then in addition to that, even in the simulator, right? How to operate the FMS, how the autopilot modes work. And so all these different things, these points as to how the aircraft operates is a little bit different than what you would learn out on the line. And so anyway, having that experience early on in a training environment has really allowed me to get a well-rounded knowledge of the operation of the aircraft, and also been able to fine-tune my instruction ability and how to transmit information and communicate information effectively. And so there's really nothing more rewarding to me than communicating a piece of data to a pilot and just seeing the light bulb go off. I know right away when you understand something, and it's more rewarding to me than anything to see you on the same page with me and know that you completely understand and I was able to transmit that to you effectively. Now, I also fly the line on the 320 family, 319-20 and 321, and truly an incredible experience to be able to take line flying and bring those experiences into the classroom, and then take the classroom experience, the training experience that I have, and bring it out onto the line. And so really, I think it just adds for a very well-rounded knowledge base and background, and I'm extremely fortunate and appreciative of the opportunity to be doing exactly what I'm doing. Maybe something you didn't know about me, obviously started at a young age of 13, just been extremely committed throughout my career to my craft. And so much so that I graduated high school in 3 years. This is a little fun fact if you didn't know this about me. I was essentially in my, sophomore year of high school when I came to the realization that I need 26 credits, and if I can get 26 credits to graduate sooner, then I can get out and begin flying and begin taking more aviation-specific courses and expanding myself professionally and developing myself professionally, if you will, in my field. And so anyway, needless to say, the same day I had that thought, I went to my guidance counselor, and the conversation went a little bit something like this. Hey, I know that I need to be a pilot. I know I need to be out there flying professionally. I need to be growing professionally, and so I need to get out of high school. And she essentially looked at me and said, Joe, are you sure you want to do that? You're going to miss your whole senior year. I don't know that you're going to want to do that. You don't want to regret that. And I was like, listen, okay, I'm already decided. It doesn't matter what you tell me. The decision is already made. So whatever solution you have to get me out of here quick, that's the path we need to go down. So guidance counselor, if you're watching this, I appreciate your help in doing this for me. She did give me a solution, which was to attend online classes, and basically through the school year and through the summer to attend online classes. So needless to say, I did that. And the way that went down, basically a typical day for me in high school, if you will, was I would go to the gym in the morning. Everybody knows I like to work out. And then I would go attend class all day long. I would go to the airport right after school, wash aircraft. I would go home, attend my virtual school online. I would go through my online classes. And then I would fly my sim, my desktop sim at night, wake up early morning the next day and do it all over again. And that was a typical day for me going through high school. And so just really, I was very fortunate. I knew right away what I wanted to do, and just pursued it full force, to say the least. Hey, I hope you've enjoyed this video, hearing about my background, my aviation origins, and just in closing, something I would like to make very well known is that I've dedicated my life 100% fully to delivering quality instruction for the aviation industry, and of course growing myself professionally in my craft as a professional pilot. And so if there's anything that I could ever do for you, I hope you give me the opportunity to serve you, serve your colleagues, and I encourage you to reach out to me at joe.m@onestepprep.com. I would love to hear your story and see how we can develop an action plan to get you on the right track to success. I know I can help you. I've taught many airlines. I've taught for every 142 training center under the sun. I've taught every program that you can imagine: initial, recurrent, upgrade, CRM, hazmat, RVSM, MMPS. I mean, any training program, circling, approach, removal. I mean, any training program that you can think of, I've essentially taught. And so I'm confident that myself and of course Juan Dominguez, the JJ team here at One Step Prep, that we can help you. And I look forward to that opportunity to work directly with you.